Hello and welcome to my weekly video blog, and today on A Vogel Talks Menopause I'm going to be talking about more menopause symptoms you may not be aware of. If you like my tips and advice, then please subscribe and remember to hit the bell icon so you can be notified of all my new videos. Last week I talked about some lesser known symptoms of the menopause, but there are many more. So what I'm going to do today is talk about more that women have asked me questions about. So number one is mouth ulcers. These can be so uncomfortable. They can give a lot of pain, especially when you're eating or drinking. The reason for this can be several-fold. We know that falling estrogen can affect the mucous membranes in the mouth. So you might find that your mouth starts to get a lot drier, and when this happens you can just become generally more prone to mouth ulcers. But the other thing that can happen is due to low zinc. Zinc is one of these minerals that is so important in the menopause. It's needed for a huge range of processes that go on in the body. And as your body changes through the menopause, your need for zinc can very often get really high. And if you're low in zinc because it's being used up for all these other things, then again, you can end up being more prone to mouth ulcers. So the main ones here to take would be your sea buckthorn oil to help with the dryness, and a zinc supplement, maybe around about 15 milligrams on a daily basis. The other thing that you need to do is that when you are suffering from a mouth ulcer at the time, try and avoid really hot drinks and hot food because they're going to burn and irritate the ulcer itself. And try to avoid any chemical toothpaste or mouthwashes that you are using, because again, some of these chemicals will irritate the mouth ulcer. So this is the point to maybe look at organic mouthwashes, preferably without alcohol, and to also go for natural toothpaste as well. Number two is the urge to get pregnant. So it's amazing how many women approaching the menopause, their periods are changing, their children are probably grown up, some of them have even got grandchildren, and suddenly they get this desperate urge to have another baby. It can seem all-consuming. You know, I've had a number of women who have been really so utterly desperate to have a baby and they can't really understand why this is happening. It's all to do with nature. It's about, you know, if we go down to a very basic nature level, then it's all about the procreation of the species. It's about keeping the species going. And as a woman, if you're nearing the end of your fertile life, the body is just basically going, we need one more child. We need to keep the human race going, and that urge can become very, very strong. Obviously, at the end of the day, if you're in your late 40s or early 50s, getting pregnant at this point, which can happen. So just as a little reminder, you are not safe from pregnancy until you've been 2 years without any periods at all. So even if your periods start to miss, you can still get pregnant accidentally. So just you know, bear that in mind. But if you do get pregnant as an older mum, then there are more health risks both to you or your baby. So I tend to say to women in this situation, okay, really try and look at it logically. Be aware you know, in your late 40s and early 50s, are you going to be happy with all these late night feeds and looking after a child for all this time? But it's an understandable situation, and one that, you know, nature is just pushing us that little bit further before we enter the menopause. The third one here is your feet can get bigger and they can get wider. Now, this can be due to a number of factors. Sometimes it just happens with age. Our feet tend to splay out that little bit more You might, if your posture changes, if the bones get that little bit weaker, you can end up with fallen arches, which again can affect the shape of the feet. And swollen ankles can be a really common symptom in the menopause as well. And obviously, if your ankles are swelling, that can affect your feet here. So in this situation, all I would say, first of all, that if you're getting pain in your feet, and a lot of women tell me that the joints start to ache, you might actually end up developing things like bunions. It's important to see a podiatrist, and a podiatrist is someone who specialises in feet, and they can find out if anything else is going on. I mean, sometimes problems in the feet can stem from problems in the hip, and they can tell you what's going on all the way down the legs. If you're in a lot of joint pain with the feet, you can look at herbs such as devil's claw, horse chestnut. If you're getting swollen ankles, and if they're associated with symptoms such as varicose veins, we have our licensed product Venoforce, which is licensed for the symptoms of varicose veins and hot and tired legs. So you can look at the horse chestnut for that. Remember the water. Swollen ankles can often indicate that you're dehydrated, and some women find that just upping their water will help with the swollen ankles. So I hope you found these ones helpful and interesting. And again, if any of you are wondering if the symptoms you're experiencing are anything to do with the menopause or not, then please do ask, and I will do my best to help. And until then, I will see you next week for another edition of A. Vogel Talks Menopause.